Today, I want to talk to you about a great opportunity we have from Avid to reach out to your Avid editors, Media Composer editors, to take advantage of the Media Composer Crossgrades that are available now. We're also going to get into some of the Avid Nexis shared storage solutions in a bit. Let's start by talking about Media Composer. Media Composer is the industry standard for post-production video editing application, award-winning technology. You can watch pretty much any feature film and you're going to see Avid editors credited at the end of it. That itself allows you to help sell this software to any post-production house, schools, corporate users, or even individual editors that are looking to get involved in film and post-production. There are some SKUs in the Avid Crossgrade lineup that are going to be going away. Like other software manufacturers, Avid is moving to a subscription-based model. They have, more than any other manufacturer in the industry, supported their existing editors by allowing them to keep their perpetual license and offer renewals and support to allow them to upgrade year after year after year. We are at the point now where the renewal and the support for your standard support plan for Media Composer has become more expensive than the Media Composer Ultimate itself. Cross-grading to a subscription model is the right thing to do for a lot of your Avid editors. And they know, they have the experience of knowing that they're renewing their support license year after year after year. There's no reason to not cross-grade to the Media Composer Ultimate subscription. We have some great opportunities with these cross-grade SKUs, and these SKUs will expire at the end of July. There may be a last buy-in opportunity, but right now we want you to go after your customers. A renewal for a license, and we'll compare this pricing in a moment, is going to be over $500. They can cross-grade to a Media Composer Ultimate 1-year subscription for just $299. Save even more by going with a 2-year cross-grade for $549. Or your best value is to go to 3-year cross-grade plan for $799. Now, between you and I, we've seen that 2-year cross-grade as being the sweet spot. It allows your customers to get a little bit extra savings, and it also allows them to not commit for a term that most people aren't going to be scared of. The 2-year really seems to be the sweet spot at a $549 cross-grade. There are also some floating licenses available for your editors that are working in 5, 20, or 50 seats. If they are working with that many seats of the Avid Media Composer perpetual license and they're renewing their support plan every year, there is a lot of savings available now by getting a floating license with the Avid Crossgrades that are available. We can share this entire spreadsheet with you. We can work with you to help your customers determine the best crossgrade path for them and their Media Composer licenses. The Avid Media Composer Crossgrade promotion is available through July 31st. It's about a 40% savings, even more if you renew for multiple years. You should reach out to every customer who has ever purchased Avid Media Composer software from you. Run those reports, access your database, offer them this crossgrade opportunity. It is a great chance for them to move to Media Composer Ultimate, which, by the way, gives them access to phrase find, script sync, and more. Because it is the ultimate subscription, it also gives them the ability to support all of these shared storage workflows like Avid Nexis and others. Again, the time is running out. These special crossgrades expire July 31st. The 1-year crossgrade is $299, the 2-year crossgrade at $549, and the 3-year at $799. Take advantage of these today. You will see that if your customers own Media Composer and they are renewing their Media Composer support plan at $532 a year, how the savings adds up when you compare it to a crossgrade. At $532 a year, my choices are going to be, do I renew my Avid support at $532, or do I bite the bullet and get a new Media Composer Ultimate subscription for $499.99? Those are really your two choices. But right now, you can do even better with the crossgrade. If you're looking at that $499.99 as being $32 cheaper than the $532 renewal, Really, the move is to go with the Crossgrade at $299, or the 2-year Crossgrade at $549, or the 3-year Crossgrade at $799. And you see in this last column here how those savings can really add up. This is a publicly available spreadsheet and is one that you can share with all of your Avid customers. There's no information on here other than MSRP and comparing their total cost of ownership over that 1, 2, or 3-year period. I would be happy to get you this spreadsheet for you to help close your Media Composer sales. You can reach out to me directly at jim@broadfield.com or reach out to your Broadfield salesperson. We can all get that information available to you. Of course, if you have new customers who are interested in Avid Media Composer, the thing to do is to offer them a brand new subscription plan. The Media Composer standard subscription is $239. That is not going to give you phrase finder script sync. It's also not going to give you support for Nexis shared storage solutions. So any of your customers who are working within a team where there might be one or two or more editors working in Media Composer, the correct plan would be the Media Composer Ultimate subscription at $499.99. That Ultimate subscription is what new customers should be looking to get into. If you have customers already on these subscription plans, the renewals are exactly the same. One thing that I want to point out for our dealers, though, is that you will see the new subscription plans, like the 993830069-00, and the renewal plan have different Avid part numbers. The reason for the differences in the Avid part numbers is because the renewals allow them to plug that part into their existing Avid account and renew their subscription for another year. Whereas the new subscription part numbers allow them to add another license within their Avid account. Obviously, over a few years of constantly adding new licenses, your Avid account is going to become more difficult to manage. By renewing the license and activation that you have in there already, it keeps your Avid account nice and clean and easy for future reference. Now I want to talk about Avid Nexis storage solutions and some of the net new opportunities and special deals available on Avid Nexis. Again, if you're working with Avid editors where there are 2, 3, or more editors working in a work group, either locally in the same production facility or even remotely anywhere in the world, Avid Nexis has a great storage solution available for them, allowing them to not only store all their video files, but to also manage their assets and share them from one editor to another. This is going to get a little bit over my head, and I know where my limitations lie. So I invited our workflow sales engineer, Glen, to join us for the Avid Nexis portion of the show. Hey, Glen, how are you?
Hey, good, Jim. Good to see you again.
Good to see you
At least
again.
we're home.
Always a pleasure sharing the Infocom booth with you. But yes, it is great to be back. It is great to be back in studio. And thank you for taking some time to join in with us today.
My pleasure.
I wanted you to speak a little bit about the Nexis storage solutions, starting, of course, with the Nexis Pro Plus and the bundle we have that is going to include that 40 terabyte storage plus the Nexis support.
Right. So, one of the biggest changes, and we won't dive in this too much, but Avid made the decision to kind of separate the Nexis file system from the Nexis storage. In a Nexis Pro, it doesn't matter because it's all bundled. When you get into the next slides, when we talk about the higher end systems, we'll talk about it. But the beauty with the Nexis Pro is it's a 40 terabyte system. You can have 24 active clients connected to it, works with Media Composer, supports Adobe Premiere clients. So the beauty is now you can have both Avid clients, Adobe clients, all in the same shared storage environment. You've got that ability to do mirroring high availability. So if you're doing high resolution workflows, you can set up a high availability workspace. You can set up mirrored workspaces, so you've got everything protected. So really, that's the whole beauty of the flexibility of the Avid Nexis family. And of course, you're starting in with the Nexis Pro Plus. The Pro Plus has got some newer hardware, a little bit faster performance, things like that. But it's the same Nexis Pro that we've known for a number of years, just been modernized, brought up to date with again newer Newer CPUs, a little bit more memory, and just basically a newer rev of the product.
Absolutely, and it's a super affordable price for your smaller work groups that do need that shared storage solution, but maybe they're not ready to get into some of the F series or Edge or any of the other stuff that we're going to talk about. The Nexus Pro Plus really sits in very well, giving you that capability of supporting up to 24 simultaneous users, right?
Correct. And then, when you need to go beyond that, that's kind of when we get into our next slide and we start talking about the Nexus F series. So
Yes.
the F series, much larger capacities. So, on the basic systems, foundation, you get up to 40 clients. Depending on where you're going in the Nexus family, you can get up to 330 active clients. And you can scale it from the 40 terabytes that we started with all the way up to 10.2 petabytes. This is how scalable this storage is. So you could do 330 clients on 10.2 terabytes, all depending upon where in the family you want to go. One of the other big changes with the Nexus series is there used to be the F2. The F2 now is the F2, which is your base storage, and then when you want to expand that to another level of storage, you can go to the F2X. Previously, you could buy half populated things. You could do different types of configurations. You had the Nexus F4, which is a bigger block. So really it's slimmed down a little bit. So you've got the F2. When you want to expand that, you go to the F2X, and then you have the F5 and then the F5 nearline. So
Perfect.
these are all going to be dependent upon, total storage capacity, and client count is how you're going to scale up in these families.
Absolutely. And giving you that capability, like you said, to go to 1.2 petabytes or 10.2 terabytes, but it really gives you that capability to expand well beyond the storage solutions and the storage needs for larger work groups and larger areas. And
Yeah,
it's
that
also
was
part of that Creative Edge Power Pack that we're going to talk about now, too. Now, the Creative Edge Power Pack promotion starts and kind of brings our Avid editors and Nexus users into that Nexus Edge solution. Glenn, can you talk a little bit about what Nexus Edge is?
Yeah, so Nexus Edge is Avid's answer to remote production. What it really does is, we have a slide. Actually, we can jump to the next slide. It'll kind of help me explain a little bit. Um, you know, in a typical Avid environment, you've got local computers using local storage, all working on local content. The next thing we can do is we can introduce a Nexus to that. As soon as we get into the Nexus, we're now in a shared storage environment. But anybody that is out of the office doesn't really have the ability to access this. So by throwing a Nexus Edge solution in there, what you're adding is a server. That server is now going to generate proxies and work with your proxies. So what that means now is I can take my laptop and I can go anywhere I want in the world, get in through a VPN, access my Nexus storage. The Nexus Edge server is going to generate those proxies for me, so I can be editing on the fly. I can be working with all this content completely remotely. I can actually take local content, start bringing that into my current media composer that I'm remote with, and then that footage will migrate in high res up to the Nexus as well. So now I'm completely remote. I can even do environments where, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to be completely remote, where I just download everything and work remotely that way as well. The other thing this also opens up is now we have web clients. So my first scenario was me running Media Composer on my laptop, connecting to an internet. The other option is have a web client where I can actually do work again remotely. So now what it's done is it's kind of removed those needing to be in the office hurdles. I don't need to be in the office to work on a production, whether I'm contributing, whether I'm editing, whether I'm reviewing. Now with that Nexus Edge environment, I have my same shared storage. I now have the ability to work with any projects, whether I'm in the office or whether I'm sitting at my coffee shop. I have that complete flexibility.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we really should clarify here, Glenn, is we talked about the Nexus Pro Plus, we talked about the Nexus F series and how that gives you the additional storage. We're talking about the Nexus Edge now as if it is a product. It is not a physical product like the other Nexus solutions. Nexus Edge is a solution that gives you this remote contribution, this remote workflow with the Nexus storage solutions, right?
Correct. The only thing you really need to add, I mean, if you've got a media composer and you've got a Nexus, whether it's be a Nexus Pro Plus or a Nexus F series, you've got the bulk of it. The only other thing you need to do is you need to add that server, and that server is really responsible for generating those proxies in real time, managing that whole proxy workflow.
Yep.
So, it's not like you're going out and buying something to make Nexus Edge work other than the server. It is not really productized. It is Nexus Edge. You add the server handles all those proxies for you.
And this is the great thing about the Avid Creative Edge Power Pack that is available now, is what they've done with this Creative Edge Power Pack is kind of pre-bundle a solution available for editors that want to get involved in the Nexus Edge and in that remote production workflow. So let's talk a little bit about what's included in that Creative Edge Power Pack.
Right. So you've got in the Power Pack, you've got your Nexus F2, so 100 terabytes of storage. You've got your Avid Nexus Edge software license, which is included. The big difference is you have Media Composer Enterprise. Media Composer Enterprise is really designed to work with those proxy workflows. So you're going to go from your Media Composer Ultimate to an Enterprise version just to manage those proxies. Not everybody needs to have that. That's really designed more for the folks that are going to be remote. So you get 10 licenses, 10 subscriptions of Media Composer Enterprise, and you get the elite support. And that's another beauty too. And I think we got a slide coming up on that. But all of these, you're getting Avid's top tier support. So you've got the storage, you've got the Nexus Edge software license, you've got 10 Media Composer Enterprise licenses, and elite support. So you add your server and you're done.
Absolutely. And we are going to talk about the different support plans and what's included in each of those too, because that's an important tool for our dealers to be able to sell these Avid storage solutions. When you bundle in and you include and you talk to your customers about the Avid Nexus Edge requirements and the different support plans and the stuff available, it really allows you to get the best of both worlds. So Glenn, here we're talking about the differences between the way we started the show, the Media Composer perpetual license, the ultimate subscription, and then what you were talking about and needed in this remote production workflow, the enterprise solution. And if you just want to highlight some of the specific features that enterprise gives you here.
Yeah, the big thing with enterprise and where enterprise was first, introduced was that centralized administration, where you have somebody that can manually, take control, set up the projects, really control what a user has available to them. So this is great in a broadcast facility where you want to make sure, hey, nobody's creating a project format that isn't supported, things like that. So that was the first part of it. Then, you've also got now, the ability to choose what assets somebody can create. You can set up security administrations, but really where it's big in this is that Nexus Edge support. So it adds that support and it adds that proxy workflow. The proxy workflow is what makes all of this work, that ability to dynamically change from working with the proxy to working with the high-res content. So when you're remote and you've been working and you're doing your edit, as soon as you plug in and you get back into the office, you plug into that Nexus, you don't have to do anything to suddenly go from proxies to high-res. It'll instantly recognize, okay, great, we're local, we're going to use those high-res images. So again, it makes it easy for the user.
It's making it easier for the user, but it's also giving the enterprise that ability to manage all of the instances and who's accessing the data and making sure that the assets are managed properly. So Media Composer Enterprise is really the right solution for your larger work groups, especially when those work groups are deployed remotely in different parts of the world. You kind of make up for the difficulty of communication by increasing the management roles and the management capabilities for sure. So the Creative Edge Power Pack pricing, the total price for the first year right now on the special is $35,995. That's the software annual subscription, is the 100 terabyte Nexus F2, and then the subsequent renewals for that software is going to be $15,000 a year. Again, a great tool for your larger work groups that are getting into this remote asset contribution, collaboration, management, and everything else in between. And if you have any questions on the pricing, how to quote it to your customers, obviously we have Glen and Logan available to help kind of put these quotes together and really make sure that you're working with your customers to get that right bundle pricing out there and the right tools for them to build this. One of the things that I really love, though, is how that Creative Edge Power Pack builds that savings over the course of multiple years. By getting involved and taking advantage of that special And now building that over, you will see how your cost of ownership over multiple years and going with the bundle can save almost $40,000 versus if you were to take these components individually and kind of build the solution on your own.
Right. And
So,
that's the beauty of what I was talking about too, Jim. If you look at that
yep,
slide, as I said, Avid kind of separated the hardware from the file system. So your annual software subscription, your upfront cost is that hardware. Then after that, you're paying for that software subscription for the file management system and your Media Composer enterprise licenses. But that's really where you can see that savings is your savings in the software space. And this is a great slide just to see over the years, you're saving almost 40 grand over 5 years.
absolutely. And we had a similar slide with the Crossgrades to the Media Composer software that we opened up the show with. And that's one of the things to keep in mind. Once people start investing, especially at this level, in the Avid workflow, the remote production tools, the shared storage solutions, it's not an investment that you're going to use for 1 year and then shift to something else. Avid editors are award-winning editors that are doing feature films and other types of productions, documentaries, et cetera, year in and year out. The more you can save over that cost of ownership, the more those savings add up. And that's why great things like this bundle, like the Crossgrades, when you look at it over time, it really begins to make a ton of sense. And it's also why I wanted to invite you to join us on the show today, because the more we can educate our dealers on how that cost compiles over multiple years, it really empowers them to go after their customers to offer the right solution. And part of that right solution is the support plans that you talked about before. Avid has a standard support plan, an Expert Plus, and an Elite plan. You can see on this chart here that extended hardware support is one of the key advantages to the Elite support plan. And that's what we're talking about in that Creative Edge Power Pack promotion, right, Glenn?
Yeah, well, it's even bigger than that. It's advanced hardware exchange. I mean, that's the big thing too, is, if you have hardware go down, they will, get you out new hardware next day shipment. So if you have a drive fail, if you have something go down, you're not waiting a couple of days, you're not having to send in a drive and get it back. I mean, that's the biggie too, is just that assurance that this system will be up and running. Worst case, I'm down, in a Nexus environment, you can lose a drive and still function, but worst case, I'm down for a day.
Yep. And time is money. So now if we took that and we go back to this chart here where we're talking about the savings, imagine not having that next day shipping availability, how that chart would add up. I don't even know how to put that on the chart, to be honest with you, right?
Yep. All depends on how much you make a day, then you're losing that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So, and honestly, these support plans should really be something that's discussed with your clients on every Avid hardware purchase. Part of what you do as a value-added reseller, as a system integrator, is making sure that not only you support your customers, but that they get the right support that they need from the manufacturer who's actually producing the hardware as well. And that's one of the things that we've really started paying attention to on all of our dealer quotes coming in, on all deal registrations that we help you out with. We're going to look that over and make sure that you have the right Avid support. We'll give you some different options, and we'll make sure that all of that is offered directly to your clients as well. And Glenn, we have a lot of dealers that are taking us up on that with their deal registrations, right?
yeah, the deal registrations, I think, in general, love Avid, hate Avid, whatever, Avid has a lot of offerings. Avid has a lot of different ways of buying things. There is a lot of confusion. There's a lot, so that's a lot of what I do is just, maybe I'm a counselor or whatever. I sit there and kind of say, okay, great. Here's this option. Here's that option. Kind of weigh it out. Demystify what Avid is trying to do. I mean, in the long run, they are trying to move towards, subscription models. They're trying to move towards knowing that they've got customers, they're going to be repeating for the next few years, which is what everybody wants. But in that, there's a lot of different options that just confuse people, and there's a lot of upfront sticker shock. So a lot of it's just kind of explaining and saying, look, you're looking at this as a year one cost. Let's look at it just like you did in your charts. Let's
Yep,
look at it over the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then you realize, wow, okay, there is a savings. This is the smart way to go. So.
absolutely. I'm picturing our dealers walking into your office sitting on a leather couch with a nice Avid pillow behind the back of their head, scheduling their counseling appointment.
Yep.
Glenn, thank you so much for helping us go through the Nexis Edge, all of the Nexis Pro, the F2 series, the Nexis Edge, any of these shared storage solutions. We can connect you directly not only with your Broadfield salesperson, but with Glenn and Logan. We'll make sure we get you up and running. If you have a customer who is interested in shared storage and you have not sold the shared storage into them before, use Broadfield as your resource. We can help you figure this out. And you'll see that once you start working with clients that have teams of 4, 5, 6 editors, how much that shared storage investment helps benefit their workflow, saves them time, saves them money, and justifies that investment over the course of multiple years. Glenn, thank you again for joining us.
You're welcome.
So again, I want to remind you that the Avid Crossgrade promotions are running out. The 1 year, 2 year, 3 year Crossgrades are going to be available through the end of July. Please reach out to your Avid customers now. Anyone who's purchased a Media Composer perpetual license, a Media Composer subscription, a Media Composer anything, they may have other Avid licenses in their account. Let them know that this Crossgrade deal can save them over 40%. Take advantage of it. Call you, get that sale, call your Broadfield sales rep. We'll make sure we get you that right item. We'll get your customers activated, added to their Avid account, and on the Media Composer Ultimate subscription and all the great things they have to offer. If you have customers looking to get involved in a shared storage solution, remote production solution, Avid Nexis is the way to go, and we can help you out with that too. We have great deals and promotions on net new Nexis opportunities. One of the things we found out in talking with the new team at Avid is that almost every Nexis sale is a net new opportunity. There is no reason to not promote those and to go after your customers. If you're working on Avid Nexis quote, let us get you the updated sales sheet, let's get you the promos, and let's get you in touch with Glen and Logan to help get the right quote together to help you close that sale. For more information, reach out to Broadfield at 800-634-5178. I'm Jim at extension 1110. I can provide you any of those charts that we had in the PowerPoint today, or I can put you in touch with Glen and Logan, as can your Broadfield salesperson. Until next Thursday at 1 p.m. and every Thursday thereafter, cheers.
Broadfield Distributing is a value-added distributor of live production, streaming, video editing, and storage products. We only sell to resellers. We are always looking for new dealers, so call us at 1-800-634-5178 or email sales@broadfield.com. You'll like doing business with Broadfield because we make it easy to do business.